What's up, world? What's up, everybody? What's up? Oh my God. It is a Monday. It is a Monday. It is a money Monday. Come on. It's a money Monday. And I am your host, Tony Cash. And if you know me, you already know that I'm coming with mad energy, no capping. That's who I am. I believe that energy is what drives success. So I'm always going to be full of energy. And we're going to have a great time tonight. So call family members, friends, and tell them that we're here tonight doing this end of year financial tips for money Monday, this live podcast, and it's going to be amazing. And guess what? Not only is it going to be amazing to hear my expertise, but then also later on the podcast, I'm going to have the privilege to bring on Attorney Mongo, who is an expert in estate planning. Now, listen, it's going to be amazing because when you talk about end of year financial tips, for some people, the end of year financial tips are actually the first time they've looked at their finances to even begin thinking about the possibilities of where they can be in their finances. And so I'm super excited about this because I'm going to come on, I'm going to bring all of this wealth of expertise I have, and then I'm going to bring in attorney Mongo, and she's going to come in with her expertise in estate planning and her commitment to helping families preserve their legacy. So this is going to be amazing. And I'm just telling you, just get ready, get ready, get ready. So listen, one of the things I want you to understand is that it's never too early and it's never too late to start thinking about your money. It's never too early and it's never too late to start thinking about your money. And what I like to do is I like to bring a sense of hope, inspiration, aspiration, give you a purpose behind why it's good to make sure your money is in great condition. I like to bring a little joy to building wealth. I like to bring a little hope because guess what? Hope springeth eternal. And I believe that when you give people a positive reason to aspire to wealth, to aspire to great financial soundness, to take this journey on this financial road to where they can be successful and they can leave something for their children's children, and it can be generational wealth. Man, I just think the sky is the limit and anything is possible. So get ready because I'm coming with the end of year financial tips. Then I'm going to introduce you to our expert in estate planning and attorney Mongo. And let me tell you, she's committed to helping families preserve their legacies. And you know what I love about her when I met her? Her energy was just as high as mine. So she may actually be some kin to me because she has just as much energy, but then she's young. And I love seeing young people who are able to help us with expertise because that means early on in her life, she committed to the education and she committed to the learning that it takes so that she can be an expert. So listen, I'm super excited. Grab your popcorn, get you something to drink, and we're going to have an amazing time tonight. I really want to talk to you about this year-end financial review. And I want to discuss the importance of conducting a year-end financial review. You know, when you think about a year-end financial review, normally what we're thinking is that I started the year with one plan And now I'm at the end or the tail end of the year, and I want to make sure that I either meeting the goal or exceeding the goal. But I might find that I'm not meeting the goal nor exceeding the goal. Now I've got to take this plan and I've got to revamp it, and I've got to find a way to make sure that I at least hit the goal, preferably exceed the goal. So if you're taking notes right now, I want to say something to you. Never let a year come where you have not planned out your goals and the possibilities for your money. Don't assume that you'll get to a place of wealth just because it's going to happen magically or by happenstance. No, when we plan out our wealth throughout the year, we plan for success. Actually, sit down and decide, I know the goal that I want to achieve in my finances in this year. And then every 90 days, I'm going to check to see where I am with those goals. You know, accessing your financial goals and achievements over the past year can bring one or two things. It can bring a sense of accomplishment where you say, man, I really achieved my goals. Or it can bring a sense of disappointment where you say, I set a certain goal in my finances, but I did not achieve it. Now, what do? I want to say something to you that's very important. Don't think that the amount of money you make, the amount of income you have, the amount of wealth you believe you have is too small for you to set a year-end goal. Because here's what we're after now. Hear me out. When financial coaches like myself ask you to set financial goals, what we're saying to you is it's not so much about the amount of money as it is building great habits. You're writing at home, say, it's not about so much about the amount of money I'm going to save. It's about me building great habits. And what I found in finances is this: when you build great financial habits, then great financial success happens anyway. Let me say that again. When you build great financial habits, great financial success happens anyway. So if you begin by setting a goal to save just $500 that year, because that's all you can do, and then you build great financial habits of saving $50 a month, $25 every 2 weeks, you might think, well, I haven't accomplished much because it's only $500. But no, the goal is not so much to achieve the $500 goal. The goal is to start achieving great financial habits. And when we have great financial habits, then guess what? No matter the amount we are trying to ascertain, the habits we have are so great, we're probably going to exceed that goal. So we've got to review our budget and our spending habits and make sure that they align with our year-end financial goal. Well, you say, what does that look like, Tony? Well, what it looks like is actually taking a day-to-day view of what you spend, where you spend, and how much you spend. What you what you spend it on, where you spend it, and how much you spend. Why? Because you want to get in the habit of reviewing your spending habits so that you can know what is being a deterrent to my financial success. When we review our budgets, we may find that there's areas within the budget that we can cut out so that we not only achieve our financial goal, but guess what? Now we can start exceeding it. Maybe it's the cable bill. Maybe it's $200 a month. And you say, well, I got to have cable. Well, maybe you don't have to have every channel. You'd be surprised what $100 can do each month to being added to your financial goal. And so reviewing your budget and your spending habits are really important, because what our ultimate goal is this. Our ultimate goal is to evaluate our budget and our spending habits to achieve our financial goals, so that we can now evaluate the opportunity to invest and create an investment portfolio that brings us even greater wealth. You see how we stack that thing? First, we set a goal. If you're writing, I'm going to give you a little time. First, we set a financial goal. We say, by the end of the year, here is where I want to be. Secondly, we review our budget and our spending habits. We say to ourselves, okay, what's my monthly budget? What's my weekly budget? What's my spending habits? Am I actually being careful on what I buy and what I spend on? Or am I developing an attitude where I'm compulsive in buying things that I really don't need? And then once we get to that place of setting our year-end financial goals, once we begin to achieve and exceed those goals, once we begin to review our budgets and our spending habits, now we're coming to the next level in wealth. Well, you say, what's the next level? Well, the next level is now I'm evaluating my financial picture to see where I might now start investing and creating an investment portfolio. Making the necessary adjustments through savings, making the necessary adjustments through cutting things out, making the necessary adjustment through not doing preventing unnecessary spending, so that we can finally get to a place to where we move from addition, which is saving, to multiplication, which is investment. We want to create a year-end review that shows us where we've moved from addition, which is just saving, to investment, where we now are multiplying our money, where now it's not just 10 plus 10 gives us 20, but now we are 10 times 10 give us 100. You see what I'm trying to say to you? I'm saying to you that there's a process that you go through, but once you go through that process, you move from addition to multiplication. That's our goal. We're trying to move from addition to multiplication. Now, here's the thing. As we move through this process, the other thing that we want to do, and let me say this up front, everybody should find them a tax advisor, because a lot of money is lost because we don't have a tax advisor. I'm just telling you, a lot of money is lost because we don't have a tax advisor. And some of us just assume that we don't have enough money to have a tax advisor. And so we just do our taxes, and we don't look at, the fact that there is money often being left on the table because we don't have a tax advisor. You need somebody who is advising you on your taxes, on how you can tax loopholes, how you can bring home more money. Now, check this out. I'm a man of faith. And the one thing I tell people, don't wait till you get there to start the good habits. I'm gonna let that simmer in your spirit. Don't wait until you get there before you start the good financial behaviors. So in other words, don't say, well, right now, I don't have enough to get a tax advisor. No, start dreaming of where you want to go in your finances and start asking the questions before you get there. Start dreaming of where you want to go in your finances and start asking the questions now. Well, why would I ask the questions now? Well, because the imagination is what excites you about a future that you'll be driven to. When you begin to imagine that one day I'm going to have enough money to where I need a tax advisor, guess what you begin to do? You begin to work towards that place that you imagine. So don't lose. Imagination is a great part of financial success. Begin to imagine where you want to be. And so we're at the year end, and I think one of the things that many people miss out on is maximizing their contribution to the retirement accounts. I mean, a lot of people allow money to stay on the table. A lot of people say, well, I don't have enough to save. That's where you need your tax advisor, because I can't give you that advice in an open forum. But many times what I have seen is people's taxes are actually lowered because they put more into their retirement account. Then they find out that all they're doing, and it's a blessing, is they're swapping out paying the taxes today for paying the taxes 20 years down the line. But guess what happens? When they swap out paying the taxes today and they say, I'll pay them 20 years down the line, here's the advantage of that. Yes, you're still going to end up paying the taxes, but why not make money off of their money first and then pay them back from the money that you saved through using their money in your retirement account? So start thinking about this. Find your tax advisor. Explore tax loss harvesting to offset gains. Like, find your tax advisors that may tell you, oh, you do know that right there can be counted as a loss, so therefore you can offset. See, one of the things that I tell people is, don't assume you know. Don't assume you know. There are some things that experts are going to be able to tell you that you're just never going to know on your own. You're not going to be able to Google it. You're not going to be able to go on YouTube. Sometimes your issue or your financial challenge, I should say, is personal, and it needs to be personalized. And then finally, when we get to the end of the year, I think it's a great time to make sure you maximize your charitable donations, because those too reduce taxable income. And all of a sudden now, when you start increasing your contribution to retirement, you start giving more to charitable donations, all of a sudden you see your taxes reduced, and many people see, well, they actually take home more than they thought they would take home. So it's really important that you and I understand that the best avenue to financial success is always through a financial coach. I'm one of those people who just believe that if someone else has spent the time, the energy, and all of that school, education, and learning the information, why would I go do all that myself? No, I'm just going to harvest the knowledge that you have so that I can be successful. So, we're going to have, and I know you guys, I'm going to talk about this later. In January, we're going to have a time where I come and really do a deeper insight to the information I share with you tonight. But I want to make sure in these 30 minutes that I also bring on my guest, because she's going to be talking to us about estate planning essentials for about 10 or 15 minutes. And when I tell you, she is a wealth of knowledge. She's going to be helping you. And even while we're doing this, you can put some things down in the chat. and we'll try to answer some of your questions, even if it's some things I went over, even if it's some things that she goes over. But I'm telling you, you're about to learn some amazing information. I'm going to be questioning Attorney Mongo, and I have no doubt that she is ready. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Attorney Mongo. I'm going to first let her tell you all a little bit about herself, and then I'll go into the questions, and then you guys can put anything in the chat. I know she's ready. How you doing, Attorney Mongo?
I'm doing great, Pastor Cash. Thank you so much for having me today. It is definitely an honor, and I appreciate being here and being able to share my knowledge with your community. Just to kind of share a bit about myself with everyone that's here this evening. My name is Tanika Thompson Mungo. I am the owner and the managing attorney of the Thompson Mungo firm in Stockbridge, Georgia, where we help families and individuals plan for and protect their legacies. Our firm focuses solely on estate planning and probate and administration. So, I mean, I can touch on quite a bit of the things that we focus on, but it is truly a passion for myself and for my staff. And we enjoy what it is that we do. We enjoy taking the burden away from people about worrying what is going to happen to my family if I pass away? What happens to my family if I become incapacitated? What happens to my family in this particular scenario? So we plan for what can be. I mean, granted, it may not necessarily happen, but at least we have a plan. But I just wanted to kind of piggyback on something that you just mentioned in your speech there, Pastor Cash, and it's just going to tie it all in with what you just said. And I had to type it in my little chat so I can remember to say it right. Because when you started talking about dreaming and you started
Right,
talking about
right.
having, I mean, it just literally, this is what came to mind for me. Dreams and imagination create the determination to build the discipline to accomplish your goal.
Yes. Say that again for me, preacher.
Oh, stop it. Dreams and imagination create the determination to build the discipline to accomplish your goal. And it's so funny because I can think about even in building my firm and different experiences that I've had in life. And it's literally just having a dream and continuing to push forward towards the goal that you have set for yourself. And it takes a little bit of discipline to grow to reach that goal. So
Yeah.
that's literally what I got from you, just from what you just said. And I just kind of wanted to tie it in with one statement for you. I hope you don't mind
Not
me
at
doing
all. No, no. This is the thing about it is you fit in well with me because
that.
I like people who have high energy. You
Mhm.
know, and you can't have high energy and low knowledge. Now that don't work because I've seen people with high energy but low knowledge. We need you to know what you're talking about. But you come with
Excellent.
high energy and you're knowledgeable. I'd love to just ask you, what are some of the misconceptions that you think most people have around estate planning?
I think the first thing that I can say for certain is that a lot of people think that they don't have an estate or they don't have something that is worthwhile planning for. Um, that is one of the biggest things that I see in most of the cases or clients that I work with. I mean, the fact that having not only children, you've got to plan for them in the
Yes.
event that something happens to you, especially if you have minor children. So that's a big consideration. If you don't have children, that's okay. Just so long as you own anything within the state of Georgia, because mind you, I'm only licensed to practice within the state of Georgia, so I can advise on Georgia laws. So long as you own anything within the state of Georgia, you are considered to have an estate, and that is worthwhile planning for.
Say that again because let me say this to you. I've worked in finances 20 years,
Mhm.
and people, when I tell them that, they say, no, Ms. Cash, that doesn't make sense. Can you please repeat that again?
So long as you own anything within the state of Georgia, you are considered to have an estate. It could be just the clothes on your back. It could be your vehicle. It could be, it does not have to be that you have $1 million in the bank to have an estate. So long as you own anything, you are considered to have an estate within the state of Georgia.
Wow. And so when you talk about this estate thing, because I know I'm not I try to stay away from things I don't know, Attorney Mongo. One thing about me, I talk a lot, but not about things I don't know. So that's a
Understood.
problem. I
Don't
talk
refuse.
not about things I don't know. So can you just kind of give us the difference between a will and a trust, and do we need them both, or talk to us about that?
Well, that's an excellent question. I really do like to approach that particular question with understanding the goals. So there, we're gonna tie right back in. Remember, so understanding the goal of the individual, because not everybody has the same need as it
Okay.
relates to their estate planning. So, in looking at your goal, is your goal to just ensure that your property is transferred to a particular family member? Is your goal to ensure that you are planning for your grandchildren or for minors? So, those are things, first of all, to take into consideration when getting into the estate planning realm. Now, to kind of a bit deeper, what's the difference between a will and a trust? A will is a written document that details what it is that you would like to have happen to your estate or to your belongings or to whatever it is that you own at the time of your passing. Now, that particular document is not essentially effective until you pass away, and then it has to be presented to the probate court and proven to be a valid document that meets certain statutory requirements. So please be careful with the DIY. Just had to throw that in there, to make sure that it is proven that these are your wishes at the time of your passing, because you can update it as many times as you'd like. You can make as many changes throughout your life. Now, a trust, on the other hand, is a little bit more of a sophisticated document. It's an agreement that one person who is a grantor executes, essentially creating an entity that will manage assets on their behalf. And that person that is managing it is the trustee. Now,
Mm,
if you have a trust, the assets are presumably funded properly because you have an estate planning attorney to assist you with it and fund your assets to the trust properly.
Before you move on, I know you were making light of that, but I know we're limited on time. But just take about 30 seconds on why you emphasize that, because apparently you've had some experience right there.
Can I give you a horror story? I have stories for days, but this one is like one of my favorite. And it actually happened this year, where I had a lady, she walked into my office just impromptu, and luckily I had a cancellation. This lady did a trust party with her siblings. And in doing that trust party, all of her siblings created trusts. She created a trust for her family and named herself, her husband, and her two children as trustees. Unfortunately, one of the children, she was a minor. Then, when she came into my office, she was trying to sell a home. This minor cannot sign to sell a home. She came into my office the day before the closing. I literally had to redraft within the span of around 2 hours quite a few of her documents and instruct her on what to do so that her closing could take place the following day. And it was because she did a DIY trust at home. And I'm like, why would you do this? Please
Wow.
never do this again.
Are we dealing with people and I know you don't want to in any way, how do I word this? You're not you're a very nice person. You don't want to put anyone down, but are we sometimes dealing with people who are too cheap for their own good?
I think that may have been the case with this particular client. However, I think they thought they were doing something good for themselves by
Okay.
doing that, but without the proper guidance or someone with the knowledge and the expertise to recommend, hey, you know what, it may not be a good idea to put your children as trustees because now they have to sign off
Okay.
on you doing certain things. So, I think if they had even someone else participating that knew what they were doing, it would have made the world of difference.
Okay. 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 I just thought about that, like, wow, I sometimes so for me, I have a very good friend, JP, and she gets frustrated with the idea that uh, she's seen how I've impacted her life in her finances by coaching her. And then others will think, in order to help them save thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to help them invest, whatever it might be. They will think $50 is too much. And you're like, but how is $50 or $75 too much when you know over a lifetime this is going to grow you 50, 100? And so that's why I asked that, because I want people to not be so cheap that you miss out on what's actually good for you. So thank you for explaining that. But I've seen it.
Absolutely.
So what steps should someone take? And I think you kind of touched it. If they haven't started the estate planning.
I think really getting some education, even consulting with an attorney, is still helpful because there's a lot of education that can be acquired in that meeting. Even if it's a free consult, if it is not a free consult, at least pay to get an understanding of what would be best for your family and fit your needs. If it's something that you can afford at that time, at least try to get an understanding of what the cost looks like so you can plan for it. Because estate planning, it is not a one size fits all kind of experience or journey, as I really like to call it, but it is more so tailored to you and your family and what your family needs. So I would encourage folks to kind of get some information. You're welcome to go to my website. My website is oh my gosh, there's a wealth of newsletters and blog posts and information on there regarding estate planning and the things that you need to gather. So, I mean, knowledge is key in this space.
What's that website while we're in the middle of? Just say it real quickly.
ttlawllc.com. I appreciate that plug.
Absolutely. Say that again for us.
ttlawllc.com. I mean, there are a couple
LLC.com. So if you don't get that, then something wrong with you, because I have a terrible memory and I can remember TT Law. So come on now, let's get it. Now, here's the thing though, and I'm just sitting here thinking about everything that you said. And are the consultations normally free, or can we expect a certain fee when we sit down with someone with your expertise?
That's an excellent question. I do advise clients that consultations do cost, because even during that meeting, you're gaining knowledge and that attorney is making an assessment as it relates to your needs, and that takes time. So anticipate your consultation costing between maybe 200. Some attorneys can charge between 200 or around 400 or 500. It just depends on the amount of time that is spent during the consultation, and also the fees that that attorney charges, because it really and truly varies. There's no standard cost for all attorneys to charge. It really and truly depends on each of those individuals.
What are we looking at though? Because I again, I want to go back to Attorney Mongo. What are we looking at? I know you don't deal with people who try to cut corners and not pay, but I do, just to be honest with you. And when I do the coaching, give me about a 30-second umbrella statement of, why is it important to not let that fee deter you to where you go, oh, because no, don't forget you spent $200 that month on Chick-fil-A and Starbucks. So now all it did was gave you, a wider back. And so, that all it did was put you in the big back.
Oh my goodness.
So we're trying to help you so that, you can at least afford that size casket. No, I'm kidding. But, so
I'm not going there with you.
Talk to us why it's important not to allow that fee thing to deter us.
Okay, that is an excellent question. Well, one thing I can say is probate can get very expensive. So when folks avoid doing their estate planning in advance, or they do very poor planning with their DIY plans, it results in very
Hold on now.
probate.
Let me be real with you. Not all of us know what DIY. You got to tell us. You said
Oh,
that.
I'm so sorry.
And I'm thinking that's somebody I need to call. So I'm about to ask you, well, what's their phone number? Who is DIY? So tell us what that means.
You don't want to call DIY because DIY causes more problems.
Okay.
But DIY is essentially do-it-yourself platforms.
Okay.
So there are certain platforms where folks go to those sites and download very generic documents And those documents don't necessarily meet statutory standards for a
Oh, wow.
specific state. So in utilizing those documents, you may create additional hurdles when it comes to either probating your documents if we're doing a will, or even with a trust if it doesn't include specific language more feasible for your trustee to manage your trust
Right.
in an efficient manner.
Okay. Okay. That was important because I kept hearing you talk about the DIY, and I said, well, not everybody will understand that. Now, how often should families ensure that their estate plans are kept up to date? Especially with changing laws and personal circumstances. How often do you recommend that they sit down with someone like you?
Most importantly, changes in life circumstances. So maybe getting married, having additional children, very significant life events trigger the desire or the need to actually have your documents revised. Also, I mean, getting divorced. That is also something that happens, and it does really and truly trigger a need to update things because you may have beneficiary designations or even have gifts to people that you don't particularly care to give those gifts to anymore. And that's a part of being
Ah,
a
that's a good thing. You may be mad at them this week.
hmm
So we may have to come see you every week then.
Look, I'm okay with it.
We may have to come see you every week. Say, no, Pastor Cat, weren't you in here just last week? Yeah, but my wife upset me, so we changing some stuff today. Because I'm mad. But it really to me says that it's not a one-time event, that we have to be cognizant of things that changes in our lives. And so that means being attentive, not
Absolutely.
allowing it to just sit on the back burner and not realize, it's been 6 months since I reviewed my the information or my estate planning, because in 6 months, and I know a lot can change.
Absolute relationships change because you may have your best friend or your cousin named as a leader or a trustee of your trust or your will, and the relationship may have changed and you all are no longer in communication, so it may be an opportunity to update those documents. So a lot of things can happen in that span of time, and I mean it could be that someone has passed away that was listed to serve, or different things have happened, or they may have become incapacitated, so you never know. And also I definitely want to mention this really quickly while we're on this call, that even if you're providing for family members, it's also something to be mindful of, that if you're providing for special needs family members, that you don't want to give them certain gifts outright, depending on the benefits that they're receiving from the government.
Oh,
I think that's something
yes.
that a lot of people think about, but I just have to
Yes.
mention it because it's so near and dear to my heart. Like, you don't want to, I want to care for my family member that has a special need,
And I
but
have
I
a special
don't.
need family member that I
Yes.
care deeply for. And I could see myself thinking about her because I take care of her affairs and think, but you're right. There's only so much they can actually
Have.
own and have.
Mhm, mhm.
Wow.
So it's a matter of making sure you're mindful of those things to provide for them, but provide for them in a way that does not result in them losing their benefits. So I just
Wow.
wanted to mention that as well because it's something that happens so frequently.
And you would be able to help us with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Listen, okay, we got to close out. But here's the other thing. Take about
Seriously.
30 seconds and please remind all of my cousins, all of my aunts, all of my friends why estate planning is not just for rich people.
Because estate planning is life planning. It's planning
Wow.
for everyone. It is not just for rich people or wealthy people. It encompasses so much more than we understand as just regular individuals. I mean, estate planning also encompasses incapacity planning. So what happens in the event that we become incapacitated? Who's going to be responsible for our affairs? Who's going to take care of our finances? Who's going to make sure that bills are paid? Who's going to take care of the children? So, I mean, that is something else to think about. If you have young kids, you have the opportunity to identify who's going to be responsible for their care, who's going to be responsible for taking care of their expenses. So,
Hmm.
I mean, it is such a broader um, uh, uh, sphere than what a lot of people think it is, because it even speaks to elderly individuals. Who's going to take care of them as well? So I mean, it's so much more to estate planning than what people think, that it's just a will. It's so much more.
My sister Nikki used to say to me, "You think," she would always fuss at me about estate planning, and she
Uh-huh.
would always fuss at me and say, "Okay, Cash, you think you don't have anything, but you got a
Mhm.
lot to somebody who's been sleeping on the couch at their mama house most of their life, looking at Days of Our Lives, and then when you leave this world, they're your closest to kin. So you might not think $10,000 is a lot, but for someone who hasn't worked for it and you didn't do your estate planning, and someone just cut them a $10,000 check, and you didn't really want them
Them to have it.
to have that, it's a lot. So I want you to help me close this out with this, and you give us about 2 minutes on this, which is, as you think about the conversation we've had today, how would you encourage listeners to take actions on their financial and estate planning even before the year ends? Like, what would be, your statement to them to try to urge them to do this?
I would encourage people to think of the consequence. Think of the impact of not planning, even as it relates to your finances, as it relates to your estate. What is the impact of not doing anything? How does that affect your family? How does that affect their mental state? How does that affect the planning for them in the future? The best gift you can give your family is to have something in place for them, something in place for yourself, because at the end of the day, it gives them that peace of mind in knowing that you took the additional steps and put forth the additional effort to make sure that they were okay. Because even in addressing the financial planning, I mean, even talking about insurance, something as simple as insurance is still having something in place to protect your family. Because think of the loss of the income. If the primary breadwinner passes away, having insurance, and insurance is not as expensive as a lot of people think that it is. And there's so many different kinds of policies that can be put in place to make sure that at least they're provided for in the appropriate manner for a certain amount of time, or however long it is that you're planning for. But having a plan for so many different aspects of your life can make the world difference to those that you love in the future.
Amen. Share with us again how we might reach you, how we can be a part of your world now. You're going to be a part of our family to help
Look.
us and
Oh,
prevent us from doing dumb stuff with our
okay.
finances and our estate. And tell Mike, Bobby, Rick, and Mike that I know you think you don't have anything, but if you own anything, you need to call me, reach out to me. And maybe here's the thing, it may be that she can't particularly help you in that area, but she can give you some suggestions. She can guide you in the right direction. So talk to us about that and close us out on that.
Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned at the start of my appearance here on your show, and which I appreciate being here once again, so thank you. My office is in Stockbridge, Georgia. Our telephone number, because I didn't mention that earlier, so I'll share it now. It's 678-855-6002. Once again, 678-855-6002. And I mentioned the website earlier, but I do encourage you all to reach out and at least see, hey, let me do a 30-minute consult to see what it is that I need. I don't have this or I don't have that in place, but I would really like to make sure that I protect this family member, or at least ensure that my assets within my estate don't go to this particular individual. Because just as important as it is to plan for who you want to receive things, it's so much it's just as important to plan for who you don't want to receive anything. Because, I mean, we may not have had very kind family members to us in certain family trees. So, I mean, and it happens and it's unfortunate, but it was a matter of making sure that whomever it is that you want to receive your assets, receive it, or whomever it is that you want to step in and make decisions regarding your care, that those are the appropriate individuals that are able to do so.
Well, I just thank you so much, Attorney Mongo. I want to say to everyone out there tonight, it's time to get your finances in order. It's time to not play around with it. I want to put it in its simplest form. We know through experience, and we know through dealing with people in that when a person's finances are well and a person's financial life is in order, it brings them a greater world of peace. It reduces stress. It gives them a confidence that it gives them confidence that the people who they love the most, as Attorney Mongo says, will be protected. And I don't think there's any greater joy than knowing the people I love will be all right no matter what happens to me. So I want you to think about what we said tonight. I want you to think about caring about ensuring that your financial life is in order. I want you to strategize and plan to maximize your contribution for retirements. Explore tax law loss harvesting. Decide that you want to give more to charitable organizations so that you can reduce these taxable incomes. And then think about what Attorney Mongo said. You need a will at times. You need a power of attorney. You need all of these things that she spoke about. And I know you got estate planning, trust, so that you can have peace of life. What I want you to do is to tune in next week because we're going to be right back here on a Monday, Money Monday. Easier said than done. I want to encourage you to attend our Live Well, Leave Well seminar on January 4th, 2025. Can you guys believe 2025? It's all
insane.
Oh my Lord. And so I want you all to be a part of this so that you can connect the dots. Because as I discuss the year-end financial tips, I also want to emphasize the strategies that I talked to you about, that Attorney Mongo talked to you about, are just the beginning of a comprehensive financial plan. You see where I'm going? That you need to sit down with me and Attorney Mongo, and you need to allow us to create you a comprehensive plan for your financial life. You need to allow us to create you a financial plan, a comprehensive financial plan for your life. So if you found today's tip helpful, imagine what you could learn at our seminar. Imagine what you could learn if you sat down with us and allow us to help you and coach you and go more in depth regarding the things that we talked today. So I want to thank Attorney Mongo again for being with us tonight. Man, you were a joy. I mean, when I tell you
took the word right out of my mouth because I was like, this was such a joy.
That's right. We got you now. We're going to make you a part of this community. I want to thank all of you tonight who were a part of our community tonight. You know, the Leadership Church, we want you to know that God desires not only that you be spiritually healthy, but physically and financially well. You know, he doesn't just want you to be able to shout, but he wants you to be able to keep your breath while you shout. He doesn't want you to just be able to shout, but he wants you to have a little money in your pocket while you shout. Because I found out that I shout harder when the account got a little more money in it. I don't know about you, but my shout is just better. I just get the Holy Ghost
more vibrant.
And so I want to thank all of you for being a part of this Monday Money podcast. And I look forward to seeing you all again. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to give you the wisdom of how to deal with your finances. And may God bless your family from generation to generation. Make it an amazing night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.